What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another episode of the 5 takeaways, where we're looking at the damaging defeat to Chelsea last night. It really was damaging. Horrendous. There's another pun I was going to use, but you'll see it very soon, so I'm not going to use that right now. But look, let's just get straight into it, because this is the last video we have to do on this game, and I'm happy to see the back of it.
But let's think about this game again.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Let's get straight into it. And the first takeaway is goals allowed.
Goals allowed. The sound of the underground.
Sim, you're very happy about that.
I was delighted with
you're
that
so
one.
happy with
that. But look, we're going to look at a stat here called shot creation actions. Because I want to look at it, but look at this, because everyone's talking about the difference between pre-Palace, post-Palace, or people are trying to find a barometer, but I'm going to look at Palace as
pre-Liverpool, post-Liverpool.
I'm going to look at that Palace game as how we've been acting before that game and after that game. Now, shot creation actions is a stat basically every time someone does an action like a pass or a good dribble that leads to a shot on goal. That is called a shot creation action, right? So before Palace, Spurs were doing 19.5 shot creation actions per game, right, and we were conceding 18.8 shot creation actions, right? Since Palace, we've been doing 15 shot creation actions and conceding 26. There's been a 9 action swing pre and post Palace. We're allowing more shot creation actions against us, and we're doing less for us. There's been a big difference in the performances, especially going forward in that statistic, and that's a really worrying trend.
But what do you put it
really
down to?
worrying
what do you
trend.
Put it down to?
It's hard to point out a specific thing, but it's been a very worrying trend. How little we attack, and how little that means we do less passes leading to shots, less dribbles leading to shots, and we concede more passes and dribbles leading to shots. Yeah. And it's really a worrying trend. 26 per game. This is per game. That's a lot. It really is a lot. And you're bound to concede or bound to put a mistake when you're allowing so much. Yeah. And it's really worrying.
Yeah, it really is. And these guys at the back are not supermen as well, you know. Because look, Eric Dier, at the end of the day, with all of these people coming out with these negative things about mistakes every game, and yes, they're right, but he pretty much defended pretty well yesterday, apart from those 2 moments in the game. Yeah, and if you keep putting him under pressure, he's going to crack at some point.
Yeah, but before we were outdoing our opponents, and now we're being outdone by about 11. Yeah, 11. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible, and we got to sort that out.
All right, and moving on, we're talking about Eric Dier. Moving on to number 2, the second takeaway is DIER-BOLICAL.
Yeah, look, Eric Dier. A lot has been said about him post Chelsea game, and just looking at the facts, Dier's penalty yesterday means he's made 6 errors this season that have led to goals, and those 6 errors came against Everton, Newcastle, Liverpool, Fulham, Liverpool, and Chelsea. So in 6 separate occasions, and all those mistakes have cost Tottenham 7 points just from Dier's mistakes. And these are individual errors which, apart from obviously the Liverpool home game where that mistake didn't prove costly because we lost 3-1 instead of like 2-1, all the other ones have been all by a goal. We've cost us a result. And all of them pretty much, apart from maybe the Newcastle one, all of them you could say he could have done a lot better with, and he definitely has to hold his hand up and say he's a bit, he lost concentration at fault for a lot of them. And if you add 7 points to Tottenham's total in the table, we actually look quite healthy, and so it's a massive a blow that we've lost all these points.
Yeah, and in terms of Eric Dier, you would say the way he's defended this season has actually been fairly good. It's just these errors that, like you say, these 7 errors that have cost us so many points, and it's just happening time and time again. And I'm starting to feel that Eric Dier is not good enough to be a top level centre back. His concentration levels and his clumsiness just override all the good work he does each game.
How many other centre backs can you show me in the Premier League who have cost their team this amount of points from mistakes like that? And, you have to look at it, but definitely not for the top teams. You don't have defenders costing their team, especially their main centre-back.
Tell you, I'd rather have Lewis Dunk, Tarkowski, all these centre-backs that play.
They made less mistakes.
I'd rather have any of those centre-backs than Eric Dier at the back.
None of them would have done what he did yesterday.
Exactly.
And yesterday was
absolute
just atrocious.
Schoolboy rubbish. Kicking out.
On the floor.
On the floor, just kicking out. Like, how brainless can you be?
Yep, diabolical, I would say.
Exactly, absolutely diabolical. Let's go on to the third takeaway, and now we're going to be talking about the struggling Davies.
Yeah, so he's really not had a good time of it the last few games, and the stats bear that out yesterday as well. He gave the ball away 8 times more than any other Tottenham player on the pitch, and we said that during the live stream. Whenever he got the ball, he couldn't get it past Reece James. He couldn't find a Tottenham man. His passing was so off it yesterday, and he just didn't look sharp. And he also didn't win any aerial duels, and he didn't win. He lost the most duels out of any Tottenham player as well on the pitch. So he struggled really badly yesterday. And the problem is we're gonna have to keep playing him because we've got no other option.
We've got no options. Reguilon's not back till the end of Feb. I mean, we've got Danny Rose.
Danny Rose.
I mean, can he do much worse, Danny Rose?
Well, he's not in the squad, is he? So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, Sirkin.
Get Sirkin in. Why not?
I mean, just get someone to stop the burden on him. He's playing too much minutes at the moment.
You know what? I was against putting Tanganga there, but you know what? Why not put him there?
Someone
Honestly.
needs to relieve this burden on Ben Davies playing every
Put
game
him
because he's
there
getting
and
worse and worse game
Do
by
that
game.
whole lopsided right thing and just put Tanganga
Just
left
do
back.
something, you know what I mean?
Do that.
All right, let's go on to the fourth takeaway, and we're going to be talking about the no home comforts.
Yeah, so it's talking about a few records that were broken yesterday. First time in Jose's managerial career, he's lost 2 consecutive home games. And the first time in his career, he's lost 3 consecutive league games. And it's the first time Spurs have lost 3 games in a row since November 2012 under Andre Villas-Boas. So really, that's how bad our form has been. On the flip side, even though we did lose 3 in a row under AVB that season, I remember we did have an upturn in form and we nearly snatched 4th spot, although we did fail in the last ever season. But I'm sure that's no consolation to anyone, is it?
No, it's not. And I'm struggling to see how Jose can turn this around now this season. I mean, obviously,
Well, the only way he can turn it around is winning the cups at the moment.
Yeah, I know he can turn it around, but I just can't see it. I just can't see him turning around this season. I mean, with playing football like that, we'll be out to Everton next week in the FA Cup. Playing football like that, I know it's a long way away now and anything can happen until then, but I can't see us beating Man City with football like that. And I can't see us progressing in the Europa League that much further with football like that either. So,
yeah, look,
it's hard to see kind of light right now.
There's only so many times we can say a good run of form and we can turn it around because it's like 10 games now, 2 wins, and really struggling badly for any kind of form. And how do you need to build momentum to build a run of form in it? But you know, but to be fair, a run of form has to start somewhere, and it can only start in the next game. So at the moment, we're still lucky enough to be in a position that a run of form can still give us what we need, but. As the games tick by, we get further and further away, and every game we miss another opportunity.
Next 5 games are massive, absolutely massive for the state of our season. You look at our next game against West Brom, you have to say you expect nothing less than 3 points in that game. Everton in the cup, I don't need to tell you why that's so big. Obviously, cup game. Man City in the league. Then we've got Europa League doubleheader in between West Ham, and if we lose to West Ham, oh my days!
God.
If we lose to West Ham,
don't want to think about that.
Oh, anyway, let's move on to the last takeaway, and that is no Kane, no gain.
So, although these stats are skewed by the fact that Son also was unavailable for some of these games, but Spurs have lost the 4 of their last 5 games that Kane hasn't started in the league, and that does point to a really a big problem under Jose Mourinho when Kane hasn't been involved. We have struggled, and despite the fact, even though last season when Son stepped up. We did, even in those games, we still kind of struggled a bit.
No, 100% right. Performances were not good then.
Yeah,
Kane
Son was
getting us out of jail
through.
free.
Yeah, Son was just kind of dragging us through.
And then as soon as he got injured from Villa, that was it.
Yeah, and that was then we really were stuck. And now, and Mourinho said after the West Brom game in his after the Chelsea game in his press conference that the team seemed to have lost confidence ever since Kane went off at half time, and they seem sad and stuff. But we need to be finding we're a team that wants to be challenging near the top end of the Premier League. We can't keep having these excuses.
How weak is that mentality? As soon as your best player goes off injured, they've lost confidence.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
The one thing I hate about Jose but it's always been a feature of his management. Is these excuses.
Yeah.
Always, Pochettino never gave excuses, and that's what I liked. And more often than not, whenever we have these sort of problems, we kind of just we struggled, but we got through it. But under Jose, it just seems like we don't get through it, and then he has all these excuses ready, and it's very frustrating, and it creates a negative feeling. And
I tell you the
and
truth,
it's frustrating.
I used to love hearing Jose in his press conference and stuff when he first came, but now I kind of dread listening to Jose because these excuses really do my head in.
That's the thing with Jose. When it's going well, you love listening to him, but when it's going badly, he's the last person in the world you want to listen to. And at the moment, what he's coming out with doesn't help.
No. All right. Well, those are the 5 takeaways from our damaging 1-0 defeat against Chelsea at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The 5 takeaways were: goals allowed, diabolical, struggling Davies, no home comforts, and no Kane, no gain. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any other takeaways regarding the game last night. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.